Alright, so this is just a small quantity of the stuff from Arapahoe County Jail. That there's a list of witnesses. More stuff from the Arapahoe County Jail. There's a lot more in that bag there. This right here is some of the stuff that I wrote while in one of the jails. Stuff that they ignored. And in that it discusses a lot of the officers, their harassment of me. The officers, they were extremely cruel. Up to and including assaulting me. And omitting evidence, stealing police reports. They kept on teasing me and making fun of me. And there's a lot of people in the jail, a lot of inmates who saw that and heard that. They were up nearly every night because all day and all night I was trying to get an investigator there. Those police officers, namely, let me see, McRae and Thorne, as well as, oh God, I'm looking at these papers. There's a lot of them. So finding specific instances at a moment's notice just isn't a happening thing. The officers, McRae and Thorne, in specific, I had an issue with them since day one. And also there was a man there they called the Podfather. This guy was transitioning out of prison in the jail. This guy was a bully. It didn't matter to me, myself, and another inmate whose name I have in some of this stuff somewhere. We both stood up to the man. Now that's not the point. The point here is that officers McRae and Thorne, I tried to write a report about them and Officer Peterson. Now it turns out there's actually two Officer Petersons who work at the Arapahoe County Jail. The one in specific that I'm talking about is the pretty boy, the one who works in 1 Charlie. I believe it's 1 Charlie. Let me take a look. I documented the fact that I had tried to write a report about the harassment by those officers, the threats by those officers. And when I did that, basically every officer that I had to deal with there became a bullshitter and an asshole. When I was given the protection order, my public pretender had magically gone on a week-long something or other, and I attempted to get a hold of every public pretender there. I was able to get the public pretenders' numbers from other inmates, and I called every public pretender I could, trying to get help. They were going to hold that court date without me. And that's the problem, is that they did this repeatedly. When I had somebody who went in with me, like Steve or Graham, they would postpone it and make it go another month. So every time that they postponed a court date, I also had to meet with my public pretender on a different day, who usually did not show up, even though it cost me $100 to go somewhere that I'm unsafe, and then return home, of course. And with officers McRae and Thorne and Peterson, I had tried to fill out a report to turn them in. They had been talking to me through the door, teasing me, picking on me, refusing to give me their names. I found out Peterson's name later. But the very next day after I tried to turn them in, officers McRae and Thorne, well, Officer McRae in specific, was harassing me at my cell door, picking on me, teasing on me, basically bullying me for trying to report her for the way that she had treated me along with Officer Peterson. So she had me put on suicide watch. That sucked. I was, the things that are done to somebody when they say they're suicidal, those are what make me suicidal. Repeatedly, they would change court dates on me or lie to me outright about court dates. This includes public pretenders, and I'm doing my best to try to document that stuff. I get overwhelmed. The only thing I can do is make a video. Like I said, there's a lot of evidence here, just in paper evidence. Not to mention all of the evidence that was stolen. But there's enough paper evidence here to show that officers lied repeatedly, and also to show that I was trying to get an investigator there. I also let my public pretender know about the harassment in the jails, and she said it wasn't her job to do anything about it. I let her know about the assaults in the jail. I was assaulted repeatedly in the jail for defending a mentally disabled person who was in there. His name and all of his information is in here as well. Officers McRae and Thorne, after that whole suicide bullshit, I was served the protection order from Miss Shelley. That officer's name is actually in that paperwork too. Now that officer, I told him, hey, I'm in jail. How am I supposed to make it to this court date? And he grabbed a piece of paper, habeas corpus, and slammed that into my hand. He was not kind about it. This is literally 6 days before court that I was handed this. My public pretender was not there for a whole week. I'd spent that entire week trying to get a hold of a lawyer. They don't allow you access to civil lawyers while you're in there. They've got a piece of paper that if you give them your ID, your jail ID, they'll allow you a list of paperwork for criminal lawyers. But they won't allow you to contact a civil lawyer while you're in jail. Because of the whole phone situation, I couldn't contact people like Miss Peaches to coordinate to try to get an honest court date. Mandy Hughes had tried to give me money for my phone. She claimed it was $200. She never told me that until I called her out for not filing a police report. She then told me her and her daughter claimed that they had tried 3 times and the police just refused to take it. Miss Peaches claimed that she had tried 3 times and the police refused to take it. They refused to take reports of abuse against a mentally disabled person. And they call me mentally ill, and it makes it okay. Because instead of addressing the fact that I am disabled, they try to make me look like Jeffrey Dahmer. I had to do a lot of things out of desperation because I was being threatened and assaulted. Now, that day, that officer who handed me the protection order told me I needed to hurry so that I could get that out by 4 o'clock. The problem is it was Officer McRae and Officer Thorne on duty. Now, they eventually pretended to help me about 2 hours after the fact. I had filled out the habeas corpus crap. Turns out that's not even the paperwork I needed to fill out. The judge in Natalie's case was informed of the fact that I was in jail. I couldn't make it to court. And he wrote down on his paperwork and in that court stuff that I had made no attempt to show up in court. No, I had made nothing but attempts to show up in court. However, the assaults continued in the jail, with officers encouraging inmates like Oscar to harass, threaten, and intimidate Except I wasn't scared of Oscar. I stood up to Oscar. Now, Oscar liked to brag that he convinced a mentally disabled person to kill somebody. At the time I was in the jail, and I have it here somewhere, what cell he was in even. The police went out of their way to ignore any and all evidence. They ignored anybody who didn't side with them because officers had done so much wrong and they were heavily invested in covering their officers. This has been proven time and again by the news since then. Not that they did those things to me, but that they do those things, period. It's an established pattern. I had a lot of people who were lying to me and pretending they were going to help me. People like Cara Rogers and Kara Johnson, who pretended to be an autism advocate who Miss Shelley had sent. Well, she's not an autism advocate. She made a bunch of other false claims as well. She was manipulating the situation. See, this is the thing. The police should have put a stop to this. They should have taken my reports. They should have taken my reports well before Natalie died. And this is in August, September, and October of last year that most of this stuff is from. This is just Arapahoe County right here. I mean, there's over 300 witnesses here that they should have spoken to. There's an additional list in one of the books that Miss Lana and Amanda withheld. There's also testimony that should be brought forward by Brenda Dickinson about the fact that I was attempting to get that information back from Lana and Amanda months after they had stolen it by false means. There's a lot of stuff that the public pretenders did that was just completely screwed up. Every single time that I went to talk to a public pretender until I was arrested in Longmont, the thing is, none of those public pretenders would take a look. All of them said that nothing from outside a jurisdiction would be allowed. And that's messed up because they were allowed to put in all sorts of false information and lies. And those things were allowed in my court dates. Slander was allowed in my court dates to prevent me from being able to speak. Now, I explained to the officers when Officer Amanda Jonas and Officer Burke and the lady from the special unit was there, I had explained to them that I was trying to go after bad officers. I explained to them that I was trying to get body cams required so that the things that the officers had done up to that point, which is turn off their body cams and then slander my name by omitting information, well, these officers did exactly the same thing, including Officer Amanda Jonas. The officer, Brian Valenzuela from Sheridan, is not in jurisdiction to investigate Ken and Leah's fire over there. The reason that he was not is because they don't live in Sheridan. He's from the Sheridan Police Department. He specifically went there to steal the evidence that I needed in court, evidence that I had been trying to show every public pretender. Now, the things that Amanda Jonas did to prevent me from having an honest day in court were pretty significant. When you guys blame me for the things that these lawyers were not doing, which is their job is to defend me in court, they outright refused. They refused to look at any evidence of any of the wrongdoing of any of these officers or anyone else for that matter. That's because, well, they're all in cahoots. They all work together. They don't want to rock the boat. No matter how right I am, it doesn't matter. They have jobs to do, and their job is apparently to protect judges and police officers when they do bad stuff to homeless people. Because I was illegally prevented from going to the court dates, they were able to get protection orders against me illegally. And I do mean illegally because I never threatened to kill Miss Alicia or her mother. They played. And the judge in that case, I had attempted to take to court and had been actually run out of the courtroom. Or not run out of the courtroom, but run out of the court building. I had to get a civil lawyer, but I didn't have a place to sit down and organize all of the massive quantities of things that I needed to organize. I was constantly on the move. And all of my money was spent moving so that I could go to somewhere where I was reasonably safe. Albeit Chapel, Nebraska, I was being threatened there, having my life threatened by people like Chris Kurth. They did everything in their power to try to bully me into suicide, and they were successful. I attempted suicide 5 times last year, mostly because when I decided that instead of killing myself, I was going to make another attempt to get the police to take my report. Instead,